He told us why. Because according to him, some evil might take him and cause him to die. So he requested to enter into a nearby small city that we'll find out is named Zoar. Now Lot was a righteous man, wasn't he? Indeed he was. Sometimes we overlook that fact or don't want to think about that fact, but that's what the New Testament affirms about him, especially at this period of time in his life. Notice verses 21 and 22. And he, it seems to be one of the angels, said unto him, Lot, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither. Where thither? This little city that we're going to find out is named Zoar. For I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. Now here's something that might not be overlooked. What would have happened to Zoar if not for Lot's request? It probably would have been destroyed too. So without assuming too much, it seems as if these angels knew that there was some wiggle room for Lot. Where's that at? See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also. What did the angel say in verse 17? Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the... But then Lot requests, let me go to this little city, because I'm afraid I'm going to die in the mountain. So what did the angel evidently have authority to do? Evidently the angel knew that there was a little bit of wiggle room. And when Lot made the request, was his request granted? Yes, it was. Now there's the declaration where Lot and family were told to leave Sodom before destruction, regardless of how many individuals there were in Lot's family. It was Lot, Mrs. Lot, and 2 of his daughters. So 4 of them out of however many there were. Now in verses 23 to 29, this is going to be perhaps what we're all a little bit more familiar with, the destruction. Sodom, Gomorrah, and at least 2 cities of the plain are destroyed. If someone would read verses 23 to 29 out loud for us, please.
The sun was risen upon the earth, Lot entered into Zoar. When the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. He overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of those cities, and that which grew upon the ground. His wife looked back behind him, she became a pillar of salt. Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. He looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, hill, low, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. It came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham, sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt.
Good. Thank you. Notice verses 23 and 24. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. Now the Lord did this, evidently, by means of the 2 angels sent into Sodom. Going back into chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, verse number 1 of this chapter, and also verse number 13. Now some might wonder, how would the Lord rain brimstone and fire out of heaven? What was the question that was asked in chapter 18 and verse 14? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Would it be too hard for the Lord to rain brimstone and fire out of heaven? No. It says brimstone and fire, so what was it? If it wasn't brimstone and fire, what would it have been? Would it have been too hard for the Lord to make brimstone and fire rain from heaven? I don't think so. Incidentally, if it is the case that Sodom and Gomorrah are now located at probably the bottom of what we know as the Dead Sea, somewhere in that area around the Dead Sea abounds in flammable materials. Isn't that interesting? So it wouldn't have taken, perhaps, from even our perspective, a whole lot to get that place to go up. And it went up, because the Lord said that's the way it's going to happen. Notice verse 25. And he, the Lord, overthrew those cities. What cities? Sodom and Gomorrah. And, notice the ands. And all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. Do you see the 4 results of this destruction? Number 1, he overthrew those cities. Number 2, and all the plain. Number 3, and all the inhabitants of the cities. Number 4, and that which grew upon the ground. Now the cities of the plain were Admah and Zeboam, according to Deuteronomy 29 and verse 23, does this also help us to see something that we read in Romans 6 and verse 23? For the wages of sin is, I understand that word death is separation, but also what happened right here. The men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly, and what happened? They died. How did they die? It seems to be, I don't know what brimstone and fire would feel like, but I'd say that'd be a pretty miserable death. I don't think that would be probably